Welcome, everybody, for another unannounced Simulation Talk, but Simulation Talk 338 came out of nowhere again, just because it's hard for me to tell the exact time this time these days. Apologies for that, but we'll wait for people to show up, so no worries at all. And my hair is being crazy for no reason. Thank you, hair. Welcome to everybody on TikTok. Let's see what we do here. We will share this on beautiful. Okay. I'm gonna go to our Discord and share it. This is very funny. Very funny. There we go. Okay, let's start the stage also on Discord. So we have it. Core events. What did I just do? One wrong click and it's over. Beautiful. Here we go. Stage is now officially open on Discord. We'll wait for people to show up for few more moments. If you guys want to join on Twitch, it's LaserX83. Again, it's LaserX. What up, MK? MGK313. How you doing, brother? Good evening, good evening. Good to see you. Samuel. Okay. Be so technologically advanced in 20 years that nobody will have to work. Funny. Funny, Nico, even though you're not here yet. What up, Tim? Awesome. Welcome from the UK. Good to see everybody on TikTok and YouTube. TikTok and YouTube. Jessica, how are you? Mike is asking, do you think you possess the same drive as Jacques Cousteau by exploring uncharted realms? Same drive? What do you mean by drive? Like the amount of energy I'm willing to allocate to it? What do you mean by that specifically? Not sure what you mean. If you can clarify, that would be great. Or like, you mean, where do we aim? Is that kind of a thing? Or in any case, welcome to everybody who are joining now in Simulation Talk 338. Cross platforms. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello from Sweden, Ludus Morsa. Welcome, my friend. So we have London, we have Sweden. We're very international here. And Tim, are you in the US? I know Jessica's in the US, right? Kevin, Harrison, you have to do it. You don't have a choice. Oh, I think we always have a choice. But it doesn't feel like I was kind of made for this, weirdly. I'm not sure how to think about that, but that's a good question. Let me also share our website, codeofreality.com. If you guys want to visit, I'll put it on the screen. It's always there. There we go. US, awesome. UK, Mykolos, even though it's a very Greek name. My experience was mentioned on Sean Ryan's show. Was it portrayed accurately. I mean, to some extent. Yeah, Chase called me right after he was on that show. Chase is a friend, as he mentioned in the show, and he also did the extended state since then. He did 4 hours. What a machine! And he did it with the laser as well. I really got to stop biting that lip. I don't even notice I do it sometimes. It's weird. If it was, well, I would say this. I will. There you go. You get it? Is that good? I don't know what that was. I don't know if it was Arabic, Russian, or whatever that was. Anyways, do not use DeWalt. Not because I have any problem with DeWalt. Great company. Uh, it's not a good idea to use the construction level for two reasons. One of them is usually it's way too powerful. The second one is that it's usually too thin without the ability to unscrew it to make it a little bit thicker, the band. So make sure that you don't get these construction ones. They're not good for this. You can get, and actually, the good news is that the good ones, the ones you want to be using, are way cheaper than anything you're gonna get from DeWalt. So they're just the simplest ones you can get on Amazon. They're like $15 for a 3-pack, something like that. Go to our website codeofreality.com, and you'll under do it yourself. You will find the correct lasers. Yes, we also make ones, but they're expensive because we're not a laser company. I mean, if you want to order them and support the project, received with gratitude. But if money is the issue, do not buy ours. You can buy the exact same thing. You just have to make the circuit yourself on Amazon, and we have that on the website. You can find it in the list. And by the way, you don't even have to use the link we provided. You can just buy one like that. Just make sure that it's never above 5 milliwatts. Even I would say preference to 1 milliwatt, just the the lowest power output possible. And make sure it's the ones that you can unscrew. Those are the two parameters. And it has to be diffracted, obviously. So what up, Jackie? And Jackie is, I always forget Jackie. Is that Australia or New Zealand? I think Australia, but I'm probably wrong. Black screen? Black screen can help. And if you would like to share your experience, please go to veilbreak.ai. This is an incredible tool that our software engineer Carmelo and my partner in Code of Reality, David Carter, have built. I mean, Carmelo built it, and Carter managed the whole thing. Veilbreak.ai, where you can share your experiments even anonymously, and you can also see other people's experiments. So go to veilbreak.ai right now, and you can play with it. veilbreak.ai. What up, Guru? How you doing, brother? I know I've been surprising you recently. And we have Australia. So we have London, Sweden, Australia. Looks1111. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate the likes. The code looks like ancient Egyptian writings to me. So you saw it, Crystal? You want to feel free to share if you want to come on. And also, I would really appreciate anybody who did the experiment. Please go to veilbreak.ai and feel it out. The more people sharing, the better. Man, this lip thing is crazy. Thank you so much, Guru, for that. I appreciate it. Doing great. How are you doing? How you doing? Well, all right. King 888, how are you? And by the way, we have an incredible Discord community that you guys can join. Just search for Core or COR, Code of Reality. What up? How you doing? Awesome. I think it pulled you up by mistake. But if you have something fun to say, let's talk. Let's chat. What's your name?
This thing is
Oh, it's pausing a lot. I see. It is pretty pausy. Weird. Hold on. How do we? Well, there we go. Didn't work. Oh well. Pausy. Exactly. How are you, Cesar? Good to see you. Turmeric and ginger tea is my go-to to make nausea disappear. Yeah, those are pretty good actually for that. Chase Hughes brought your name up on the Sean Ryan. Yeah, I know, Harry. It was awesome. It's very nice of him. What are we talking about? So you'll hold on. Let me go back and see what you guys are talking about. Wi-Fi is a little slow. Am I gonna do the Sean Ryan show? If he invites me, sure. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. Today I went on Guru without notification, unfortunately, because I just had to go on, and it wasn't clear to me when else I can do it, so I had to just go on. Turmeric and ginger, yes, yes, yes. What is real life Dark City? Australia. Andrei Sibirov. What are your thoughts on UFO phenomenon? I don't have any. Probably true. I don't know what they really are. My feeling is that most people in that field or people who talk about it don't know the first thing about it. That's my intuition. If it is upsetting to you, I'm sorry, but that's my very strong intuition. Can I talk a little bit about meeting the ultimate supreme being? I never met her. I was just shown kind of like where she's positioned. So can't say much. Just thought of a UFO question. Alien Code. No, I know that Dark City is a movie, but what are you comparing it to? What is better than The Matrix? Oh, Dark City. I mean, no. Let's not get carried away. Matrix is probably one of the best films ever made. What is this? There we go. The first one, obviously. It is awesome, but not better than The Matrix. Let's not get carried away. Matrix literally reinvented cinema when it came out. Not just in terms of how it looks and, you know, all the effects that nobody has ever seen before, but just like across the board. Dark City, it's a good film, but it doesn't have that mind-blowing thing. Not to my mind. It doesn't blow your mind in the same way. Just making a joke because they pause reality in the movie. Oh, I see. Well, here's the thing. You know, when the main, I'm also not that way. So, Jackie, I'm with you. Like, I tend to not like what most people like just because everybody loves it. Like, that's just my go-to, right? Like, everybody loves it. Don't bother me with it. That's my attitude usually. Also, I don't like to be a part of the herd, and sometimes to my own detriment. Sometimes a lot of people like something that is actually really good, and I automatically kind of reject it, and it takes me years before I get to it. But eventually, you have to be able to measure things on their own merit. And even though now the Matrix is known to be kind of like the greatest, you know, like the biggest, one of the biggest films ever made, when it just came out, there was no guarantees it's going to be that, right? And I have to, if I look at the movie for what it is, it has nothing to do with what I do today. It is one of the greatest films ever made. There's no question about it in all the possible ways. If it was just you in that movie and you wouldn't know anything else about anything, just kind of find that movie somewhere and watch it, you would be blown away. Let's be honest. The first time, obviously. So yeah, Lost. You remember the show Lost? I watched it 5 years after it finished streaming. I think it was ABC or whatever. I really liked it, but I couldn't watch it when everybody loved it. But later I watched it. I was like, oh, I guess they were right. It's a good show. What up, Mikel? Good to see you. Aliens playing a part, messing with our memories, seem more plausible than a physical simulation. I mean, those are not mutually exclusive, by the way. Nobody can tell you what the Matrix is exactly, Mikolos. Even though that's what I'm kind of doing a lot. So wasn't there a huge government surveillance program ended about 10 years ago? I think there's a bunch of them going on all the time, no? Equilibrium? Why does that sound familiar? Sounds very familiar. Okay, let's see what we can get into today. Just reminding everybody that in the next, I gotta stop saying there's way too many of those. Thank you so much for the likes. I appreciate you guys. If you haven't heard, caught myself doing it. I need like a buzzer every time I do it. If you guys haven't heard, in the next month or so, I'm mostly encouraging conversations around the human experience, what it's like to be a human. Is it good? Is it bad? Why? How does it feel? Are there, even if you want to talk about world events or your relationship with someone else or something that happened, let's look at it from the lens of what it feels like to be you experiencing it. And let's talk about that. I think that's the quintessential way of analyzing anything. And I think it's fun because we get to explore a little bit more about ourselves and what it's like to be us in the world, which I think is a very important component. Still can't get in my Discord. If you're using this link, MGK, if you go to Discord right now without any links and just search for Code of Reality or COR, Core, what comes up? If you can't find it, I'll figure it out for you. I'm going to create a new link for you and send it. Oh, the other thing is I'm building a community tool, which is going to include more than the stuff that we have on Discord. Currently, Discord, obviously, everything is going to remain free and you guys can enter it. But what I'm building towards, there's going to be a community on a website called Member Up, and it will include gathering professionals in the spiritual growth space, and you guys are going to have access to these practitioners just for the fee of whatever we're going to decide the monthly fee is. And I'm collecting ideas. So if you guys have ideas of what kind of practitioners you guys would like to have there, like what would justify you paying a certain amount a month, what kind of practitioners would you like to have access to? Maybe it's breath work. Maybe it's people who teach all kinds of forms of meditation. Maybe it's people that talk about the law of attraction. Whatever it is that you feel that you would like to have there, I would love to hear those ideas on Discord, because I want to make sure that if people are going to be paying a certain fee a month, they would be happy. And also because we're just figuring it out, I'm going to make sure that whomever subscribes, I'm going to decide however many first people would subscribe that would get that. I'm gonna make sure that because it's not gonna be a perfect product in the beginning. It's gonna be a lifetime guaranteed. You're gonna be grandfathered in automatically for that amount. So even when the price is gonna go up at some point, it will never change for you because you entered early and you helped the product to actually become what it is. So if you guys have any ideas, please share that with us on Discord. That would be very helpful. Any thoughts on or opinions on the gateway tapes? I've done it. It's really interesting. So all I can say, I definitely felt that something was changing. Very interesting. The Ascending Ancient. Rajinder, is that you? Because it's the same logo. You got a shout out on Show Ryan. Yeah, I know. Tell me if this is you. I think it's you. If it's you, Rajinder, good to see you, brother. Jackie's saying, I'll pay for the membership if we can go down the mushroom rabbit hole in that live. You mean be on it, or you mean talk about it? Like experts in psychedelics? Is that what you mean? Jesus was code word for a bunch of stoned rabbis. That's a t-shirt waiting to happen. Things only got dark when I started to bring Jesus into the picture. That's interesting. I've never heard that before. What do you mean by that? Can you clarify? Are you aware of the government-controlled program called Remote Neural Monitoring? No, but sounds like something they would do. What up, Colin? Good to see you, brother. Wait, why am I? That's crazy. I wasn't following you. Sorry, brother. Just followed you back. That was crazy. I just saw that it says follow. I was convinced I was following you. Colin Carroll, everybody. I was on his podcast. And it was wonderful. So everybody should go and watch that. What is getting juicy, brother? You can come on. Just send in a request and I'll bring you up. Oh, let me check Discord, by the way. I don't know if Nico is there waiting. I don't know if he wants to come on. I'll send you an invite just in case, Nico. What up, brother?
Hey.
Hey. That meme is very funny. I know. You showed it to me before when you put the picture, so it's great.
It kind of hallucinated your face, though. I don't think you have as high cheekbones, but...
My cheekbone? No, I think something else is different. I think it's the eyes. No, the cheekbone's actually pretty accurate. It's the eyes that are wrong. It's not my eyes. Everything else is kind of very, my left shoulder is very accurate.
Yeah. So wait, you hold the record 6 hours, 6.5 hours?
5, 4 hours, 15 minutes, 468 milligrams. It's also how much I did in that time. It was 7 boluses, I think, total. But the thing, we weren't really trying to break a record. It's just kind of cool that it seems like I'm sure somebody will break it very quickly. It's not that hard. Like it's not like it's really that hard for somebody like me, which I'm sure I'm not the only one who really loves being in that space. It's no problem. Like you can stay there for 10 hours, you can stay there for 12 hours. I easily could probably stay there for 3 days if you sustain my body, which is not very feasible because you got to move yourself. So if we have some kind of a backpack and it can be reloaded into the backpack and it can walk around and do things, I can probably stay there for a long time, probably a couple of weeks, maybe more. I don't know.
Dude, I realized because when I was in America, I grew up in America, and we had this program called DARE, which I think is like some propaganda program for scaring kids to never doing any substances.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of like Elon tweeted once, he said, doing Aya is like gigafrying your brain. And
are you sure he was talking about Aya? Yeah.
I would think that DMTX would gigafry your brain, but the fact that you came out of that super coherent, probably more coherent than ever.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you made sense. I don't know what you were doing before. I don't think it's frying your brain. Guess I'm the only one.
In this program, they bring out like a big bucket of ice cream, and they say every time you do MDMA, this is what happens, and they scoop out a piece of ice cream and say it's like scooping out your brain, and then you're just like horrified, right?
Nice. What's wrong with my cheekbones? Saying they don't look crazy like most people. People look like they have swelling issues. No, he's talking about a meme that he posted. But I appreciate the defense. I just don't remember people having massive cheekbones. It's a common Mandela effect in my community. Nothing is safe. Even the cheekbones are different. In the Mandela effect. Question and share, but my dog needs a walk. Oh, cool. Yeah. Let me, when you get back, let's see if I'm here. Danny described how the savior is done. Now it's up to us to save the planet. Well, kind of finishing his contract. Done sounds very strong. Do you think people in commas live? Wait, you think people in commas live there? What does that mean? Do you have any ideas? Wait, there was something here. Oh, by the way, Tico. It's a great handle. Said that I guess I'm the only one that's had that experience or asked the entities about Christ. No, I don't think you're the only one. So you're saying you asked about Christ and it got dark? Maybe they were rebelling. Did you ever try to see what is going on? It's like, did you ever try and say things in the name of Jesus Christ? I command my space to become pure and white and light, something like that. Because if it would become that, then it would just show you that basically they were trying to rebel, but the power of Christ compelled them, basically, something like that. So it's a good way to test that, right?
Danny, someone in the chat in the Discord is trying to see the code without DMT, but using sleep deprivation.
I think they might be able to, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I also see it when I'm really tired. In the meanwhile, if you have any ideas, Nico, about like if you would, oh, two things. So one of them is the community and the other one is the retreat. If you would love to hear what, like if you would be part of a community that I'm organizing and my idea, because we already have a community on Discord and I want to make sure that everybody always have access to it, no charge whatsoever, because we need a community regardless. But if I'm going to be doing anything extra, I want to make sure that something there people are really happy about. So if it costs you, let's say $30 a month or something like that, what kind of access do you want? Would you like? What kind of practitioners? Is there something in particular? And the same question goes for the retreat. Now, by the way, we already have we have a good idea of what we're going to have there. But if you have any things that you want to voice, that like if you go to a retreat and that thing is, waiting for you there, for you it's like a yes, like that's yes, I absolutely want a lot of that. So whatever that is.
Well, one thing that I was thinking of is I pay for the Waking Up app, which is really cool because Sam is uploading new lessons every week.
Okay.
But I was thinking it would be nice to have more of a live like group session. That way there's more peer pressure where it's like once a week there's like Wim Hof meditation or something, or maybe even different meditation sessions. But I haven't seen a tool like that. I know it's a lot to ask. But there was that one time that you helped me with like a personal session and it really helped a lot. And I started using that recording a few times, but I kind of fell off, right? Because there's no like peer pressure of like a group. But I'm wondering if a guided meditation group would be interesting. I certainly would love it.
Yeah, that's a really good feedback. Thank you. It's not that hard if you have enough practitioners in the community. Because what they're going to get out of it, you're going to have professionals who do that full time, and they get to come and present what they do, and people get to experience that just for the price of whatever they pay a month, and that person gets exposure. So if people like what they do, they get personal clients, and we that's theirs. Like, we're not gonna, we want to create prosperity for all, so we're not going to be tapping into any of that. That's theirs, but they get exposure, and we get to give people value because they get exposed to really good practitioners. So if you have enough practitioners, doing something once a week is actually not that hard, because people would like to do that because they get clients. So good idea, something to put emphasis on. Deity is naturally produced in us with spikes in certain situations. Will those spikes reproduce the laser experiment? Just so you know, Cesar, it doesn't seem to be like they used to think. It seems that the amount of the molecule in your system endogenously is pretty high. It's comparable to serotonin and dopamine in your intracranial liquid. So are there spikes naturally occurring? Maybe, but maybe that would cause more of the thing. Yeah. Remember that Jesus loves is double-edged sword. First it divides and then it combines. When you accept his love in your heart, you will be protected. Doesn't it have to first divide? I think we're the ones doing the dividing. That's my observation. Jackie's saying most people have Hindu experiences, not Christian ones. On the molecule, I would say that none of those. It's just like highly technological, sophisticated future stuff. I don't even know where people are getting all this stuff. Like, sometimes you would see it, but it's not very common. None of the religious stuff is very common. The entity was trying to seduce me. I mean, hey, you should take it as a compliment. And I said, Christ would never show me something like this. And I asked them if they believe in Christ. And things got very, very dark. It showed me the slaughter of humanity. So that's what I'm saying. It seems like they were rebelling. Next time, actually overtly say, in the name of Jesus Christ, I'm asking for protection and I'm bringing light, or something like that. You'll be surprised. A lot of people report that actually works very strongly. Thank you, Guru. Yeah, if you guys want to follow on Twitch and help our channel on Twitch grow, it's LaserX83 on Twitch. LaserX23, 83. LaserX83. LaserX83 on Twitch. I thought anyone had thoughts on the issue. I experienced something very similar like that twice. And the entities told me to blow my brains. Yeah, so like I said, make sure that you do that, what I just said, next time, if something like this happens to you. And hopefully never will.
Daniel's here. Maybe we should kick off a 3-hour free will debate.
What up, Daniel? Vandalin and John. If anybody wants to come and chat, just raise your hand and I'll bring you up, of course. I have ticking that I have recorded. Ticking? Coming from nowhere. That's so super interesting. Yeah, if you want to share that, Hugh, that would be great on Discord.
Do you think you can get Michael Levin on the podcast next?
I'm definitely going to try.
Okay.
You told me to blow more than once to spread breakthrough. But first they were trying to seduce you? Sounds like a really shitty girlfriend, honestly. Yeah, it sounds like more like Salvia than NN. Okay. I'm going to be moving on from this topic because I think we covered it. See if there's any new ones. Thank you so much, MGK. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on Twitch. It's very helpful. Gooby saying yes. It is the people. Wait. It is the people are the ones doing the dividing because it's difficult to believe or accept the truth of God's love. That is true. I would not recommend, even though Jackie swears by it. Exactly. I'm with Mikhail. Stay away from Salvia. It was Bufo. That is a very rare occurrence on Bufo. Also, I don't know what beings you met. Are you sure? People don't tend to meet a lot of beings on Bufo.
I have a question for you about humanity, human-centered discussions.
Sure.
Do you think that right now? So I started kind of going down this thought process of like trying to understand why someone like Dave Smith is so convincing to a lot of people, right? And then even yesterday, I watched Sean Ryan's podcast with Charlie Kirk's head of security. And I had no idea how deep the conspiracies are going or the death threats that these people are getting, the security team is getting like on a daily, right? And I started realizing that there are a lot of people living in delusion, or at least my thesis is that humanity is on the left side of the Dunning-Kruger curve, where we have all this information and we consume it and we think, I know how the world works. But in reality, we're all just delusional. There's this like era of delusion. And I'm now starting to think we do need this kind of like, I don't know if it's like a Neuralink device or some way of integrating all this information and being able to know what is not real, but just have patience with this information, right? And like know that, okay, just because someone sent an email to a very nefarious person, does that mean we should crucify that person in public, right? Or like, I'm trying to like figure out what's going on in society right now as a whole. But I'm wondering if you have like, and the Dunning-Kruger curve is like my main framework to think of this.
I think you're exactly right. I think people don't know how to handle information overall, a lot of information. So they confuse very strong convictions that comes from their general impressions and emotions. And it actually becomes more dangerous when people are relatively smart and known. So what they do is that they're very good at glazing the surface that everybody can kind of understand. And just because they sound like they analyzed something, it comes across with some gravitas. Like it comes across as important. This is what Dave Smith is doing. When it goes to the details, as you saw with the conversation with Coleman Hughes, none of it holds water. None of it. And then when the thing that he supposedly knows a lot about is very easily shown to actually not be there, like truly just like being the opposite of what he said, he then goes, yeah, but I don't think it's actually says that. So, but anyway, and then he just moves on to the next thing. That's what he does. And then nobody follows. Like if you're already convinced at whatever you want to say, then you will obviously follow that, because in order to change your mind, a lot needs to happen, and also the amount of pain involved in actually changing your mind is quite too much for people. So being unattached to the information that you are consuming is the skill that I think we need to teach people. So yes, absolutely, I think that we need to teach people how to handle information more, and then maybe holding off their conviction about whatever it is. In the case of Charlie Kirk and his wife and all of that, I mean, I don't know if that's the same interview, but I saw somebody Was that the guy when he was tearing up? Is that the same guy? Is that the head of security for Charlie Kirk?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even close to them, but like I feel his pain. It's like it's so painful to watch somebody who just went through like the most painful experience you can possibly imagine, and to be then blamed by imbeciles, by idiots, because they don't know how to process information. So you it's just so you know, like if you find yourself to be being too convinced without actually really, like, you have to put in a lot of work to really understand the details of things. Things are never simple. So if you're doing that and you think, well, I'm entitled to my opinion, sure, but in the grand scheme of things, you're wronging the world. You're actually wronging the world. We all have a personal responsibility to be a lot more careful with how we consume this information. It just becomes an orgy of nonsense. That's what it is. And again, the most dangerous situation is when somebody sounds more intelligent to others because they know how to just kind of slide off narratives and just move on and like start a bunch of fires and then just move on to the next thing and then just and this is again, just watch, like it's all Dave Smith does. It's like whenever, just do this every time he says, and again, that little thing, that's a trick. Like, just watch. Just I don't even need to know the subject matter. I already nailed it down. Every time he says, and again, if you rewind 1 minute or 2 minutes, you'll see that was something he had no answer to. So he would acknowledge what you're saying or would say some things in the front end that sounds like he's acknowledging what you're saying. You would say things like, that's a really good question, yada, 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 yada. Then in the middle, he would say something that is completely disjointed from what he was asked or that it had anything to do with the answer that he's supposed to provide. And then he accelerates towards the end of that point, pace-wise. He accelerates, and then he doesn't even leaves a pause and moves on to something else. That's how he slides off it. So he says something that is, and I'm willing to place a bet right now. We can go to any moment of Dave Smith saying, and again, and then we go back 2 to 5 minutes. You'll see that what he was asked or what he was put in his place about, he basically just went around, and again, and then he goes to a completely different point. That's what he does. So every single time that he makes a point that just doesn't track at all with the that guy that never read the actual memo, with stuff that all these claims that he makes about Israel, that he like deducts from what he heard, but then he's being quoted the same person saying before the full context of the thing, which completely like makes it 180 changes the picture. He does this trick, and that's the problem. That ultimately, I don't even think that he's a bad guy. It's just that he found himself in a position where this kind of thing gets him a lot of attention, and it's very difficult to then kind of undo that thing, right? And we all suffer from that to some degree. But when you, it's very difficult to watch because people are speaking about things they truly don't know firsthand, and they have the impression that because this sentiment of, well, how complicated can it be, it's right there, that's the dangerous sentiment. No, things are complicated, like they are, and it's easier for you to just say, well, let's just settle this. I'm just going to decide one thing and I'm just going to move on with that one thing, and I'm not going to actually analyze any deeper. The details is where the real information lives. And because people don't feel like going through painstaking details, they would just listen to somebody who would summarize it for them. But I would say this: if you're going to be following, for example, any point that I agree on with people who are speaking from any side of the political aisle about whatever it is, if the person that is saying things that I agree with is kind of employing attitudes that I do not sanction. So, for example, they're overly emotional, or they're like, oh yeah, or like they have this like very kind of like mean girl vibe about it. If you agree with the point, it doesn't have this like cathartic thing because they're like, oh, look at that, we're sticking it to the other side of whomever believes whatever that is on the other side, right? But I always remove myself from people like that, especially the ones that I agree with, because ultimately that's the danger. They are the ones, because they're driven by emotion, they're not driven by like a very cogent analysis of the situation. That's why I tend to only align with the opinions of people. First of all, obviously I have my own kind of, thought process around things, but I do not listen to people who make my point in an emotional way. That's not a good strategy. It never leads to anything, and ultimately it's susceptible to whatever the status quo is in that moment. When the tides will turn, you would be swept away. So if you want to stand on a firm ground throughout history, you have to stand on a ground that is actually somewhere. You want to take a position, but that ground allows itself to be informed in real time, and it is the way you can know that that's a firm position by someone is if in their point there's an acknowledgement that they understand why the other side thinks this. If there's no acknowledgement whatsoever, they are susceptible to the direction of the wind. Like that's just how it is. That's your If you really want to find really good people to listen to on any subject, make sure that you identify in them the good faith of actually acknowledging what the other side thinks and why, or why they think that. So like there's an actual openness to it versus just a decision for all time that something is black and white. Everything is just what it seems to them. How do we climb out of it? I'm not sure, but Daniel's like, you asked for it. Oh man. Yeah, we're definitely not doing free will today, Daniel. Sorry. What up, Colin?
What's going on, man?
How you doing, brother?
Fantastic.
Well, I'm glad to hear.
Yeah. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. So hold on. Let me just tie this point real quick because I want to make sure I'm not ignoring people's comments. I tend to do this. Currently cooking beans in a pressure pot. That's hilarious. Genders, what else? And the other thing I wanted to say is that there's a bunch of types of traps, and identifying them is super important. For example, there's, especially in super contentious issues, and there's, you pick one. There's so many of them in the world right now, right? To my mind, if one person, okay, so it's true that we always want to allow for anybody to say anything. That is true. And you can't take this away. But I would say that we, in addition to our convictions, we should also have a certain barometer to what is the temperature of the situation in general. And if the temperature is very high about a particular subject, whatever the conviction is of the majority of the population about that particular subject, if there's an enormous swell, like a wave that built up in this direction, there's a responsibility to be aware of that. Because if you're just making a point that usually would kind of be just, hey, I'm entitled to my opinion, right? That's true. But if you see a swell that grew to an enormous degree, that all it needs is just a couple more pushes to kind of, topple down on top of either a community or a person or whatever, you just voicing your opinion is not quite the same. So you have a responsibility to also be aware of that. So it's like, you might say, I don't know. Well, right now I can't think of a specific example because I'm not trying to create to inflame anybody. So I don't have like a general example. But overall, if you make a pretty, what seems to be maybe not innocuous, it can be even a contentious point about something, but you express it within the context that in which a culture is already doing that a lot. And just to say, hey, why am I not allowed, just because everybody is saying it and I agree with it, doesn't mean I'm not supposed to say it. That's true. But if you have a lot of influence, you still have to be careful with this because the influence might not be as balanced as you think. So when there's like you want to be aware of why you're making that point, and it's a tricky fine line that people need to walk. But even the emphasis of certain things can play the role of a problem. So you know, it's a tough space. There's no question about that. How you doing, brother?
I mean, I think from a personal responsibility space, what I strive to do is be aware of the emotional triggers that tend to come up when, let's say, a topic is being brought up that is sensitive to me for whatever reason, right? Is that I have some sort of investment towards, or maybe it's bringing up a concern or a fear or something. And so recognizing that and then being able to kind of stay with it, process it, and not let it get ahead of you and take you over, cause you to react, or be so hesitant to even explore those waters that you avoid them,
Yeah,
I think that's something, those errors were something I did for a long time.
Yeah, we all do it. I'm just saying that's the thing we got to watch. I'm trying to imagine when was the last time I had the conviction of the mob, let's say, and then did I actually find myself not holding back, but being very careful with how I speak about it. But can't remember. I'll try and remember to see if there's a just to kind of check myself to see if I also tend to do this. But overall, if you're being swept by a trend that everybody are talking about, that by itself should be actually a trigger for you to go, okay, hold on, because this is where you lose yourself. Like it just even if whatever it is, whatever is being believed, like if there's a thrust of the mob in a particular direction and you joining it, you gotta be so convinced that this is the direction that you want to be going in, because it at a certain point it's just impossible to stop. And that I feel like that's the personal responsibility that we all hold, which is like, okay, hold on, I'm gonna bring myself back to individuality, and I'm gonna make the point from the individual perspective. And people would say that, but they really not doing that. They are joining the mob, just in a way that kind of singles themselves out. So it's like, no, I'm not joining the mob. I'm just saying. It's kind of like Monica's dad from Friends. He's like, what? I'm just saying. That's the most annoying thing in the world. But anyways, that's a never-ending story, obviously. By the way, did you watch, Nico, that whole conversation, or you didn't have time? The one that he had with Coleman Hughes?
The Sean Ryan's Hughes one?
No. Coleman Hughes and David Smith.
Oh yes, I did. And this is the thing. This is a part. So first of all, I first watched David Smith on trigonometry,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like they let him get away with a lot. So it looked like Dave Smith was quote unquote cooking. But then when he went on Coleman, he pushed back on almost everything. And the one thing that stood out to me was there was this point that David made, which was based on a book. And then he's like, okay, but the guy who wrote the book never actually read the email. And there was evidence that he never read the email. And so it really made sense to me, because I realized, oh, all the data is flimsy, but the narrative clicks. It makes sense to me. And when I hear it, I think, yes, that is what happened. That is like he weaves together this very simplified story, and the reality is that it's much more messy, and it really takes someone to really push back though, and is kind of knowledgeable. And it seemed like Coleman did his homework and really just like poked holes enough to where I was able to realize, I think all this is a waste of time. I don't even think the guys in the rooms, in the war rooms, can talk about this kind of stuff this way.
Yeah, of course not. That's exactly the point. He's not an insider to these things. It's like it's like with everything else. When you have an expert in a field, it's very clear to them. This is why I think you're absolutely right about it being the Dunning-Kruger effect, just on a global scale. Because the whole point of expertise, that's exactly what Dunning-Kruger effect is. Maybe worth kind of reiterating what it is, which is that the second you get a little bit more information than just the surface of any subject, there's an illusion or a delusion that people suffer from, which is like, oh, they think, oh, like they gathered a little bit more information than the majority of people, which know like almost nothing about something. And then when you get a little bit of details, you go like, oh man, that's it. Like, how complicated can it be? I can figure this out. And then they just like voice very strong opinions. But what they don't realize or don't allow themselves to remember, because we all encounter these situations in other parts in life, that if you go deeper, all of a sudden you go, oh, again. This time you go, oh, okay, I guess it's not that simple. Like you go, like with technical skills, it's the most obvious thing. You start studying whatever it is, I don't know, calculus. So in the beginning, you're kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, there's like all these like connections. And it was like, and if you go to the theory and like all that stuff, you're like, oh, wait, even this, which is, this is just kind of like the beginning of mathematics. It's not that simple. And then you humble yourself. This humility only comes later when you actually know a lot more. So what happens is you have actual experts who are a lot more quiet because they already been humbled by many other smart people. And here you have somebody comes in, guns blazing, sanctioned by very powerful friends with a lot of with a big following, and just like no, and also sound very convinced of themselves. That's what sells. It's much easier to sell that than
if you show an expert content made by someone on the other side of the curve, they don't want to engage with. It's like they're repulsed by it, right? It's like I get that stuff sent to me all the time, and I'm like, I can't. I have like an allergic reaction to this, right? But what's interesting is I don't think Dave Smith is an idiot. I think he's very smart, but he's wrong, right? So like you could, on the if you're like a consequentialist, you can say, well, he's an idiot. But I think he's smart, but he's on the left side of the curve, of the Dunning-Kruger curve. And I think what it tells me is that A, he's very intentional, like he knows he's on the left side and he's just milking this for the views. Or B, he's never mastered anything in any vector, because when you master something in one vector, you go through that ego death that you just described, and you know that exists for everything. And so you check yourself almost and say, I must be on the left side of the curve, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you. So it really depends on how you define smart. The way and I'm obviously biased because I find his style repugnant, but if I want to be a little bit more fair, the reason I told you this before, because you said this before, you actually think he's very smart, and my response to it, I actually think he's pretty dumb. And to some extent, it was a little bit more like I like to balance the scales, but I really think that, and I can defend it. So if you define smart as someone who is capable of analyzing complex information and actually discern truths about it in such a way that something can be done with it, so the analysis actually tracks something real and you can make predictions accordingly, and you can also really understand things deeper for what they really are, not for what they appear to be, right? You're not weaving better narratives, you're tracking reality. So if your job, and this is in any domain, the degree to which you can do this in the domain that you're in and the attempt you're trying to do, the jump you're actually attempting, that's how smart you are. So you can be, to me, smart is not just limited to the scope of just intellectualism, by the way. To me, I would just put it over anything. It's just like a creative thinker, right? So you can have an artist who is driven a lot more by emotions, but there's artists who are like maybe smart to a lot of people. The word would sound like the wrong word, but I would say no. There's a genius there of the ability to take something and translate that emotional tapestry to some medium, a song, a visual medium, a writer, whatever it is, and they can very accurately deliver that emotion They really aimed there, and they ended up delivering that thing. And the level of creativity that you bring into it, and how surprising and interesting and witty, and that's the degree to which they're smart, right?
It's a great definition.
Yeah. And if you will follow that definition, no, he's not. Because he never tracked anything that is actually going on. He just has a lot of convictions he's bringing to the picture, and he knows how to make them strongly. So he convinces people. So if you're saying, if his jump, his Evel Knievel jump, is to try and just convince a bunch of people that he knows what he's talking about, okay, maybe he's smart in that domain, but he's not smart. Like, he's not. It's not like it's if because the product he's selling on the surface is, I will tell you, I will simplify this very complex thing for you so you don't have to. But he never simplifies it in a way that is accurate. And he's very unfair to the realness of the situation and the complexity of it, right? So you can be on one side of an argument and take into account the other side, and none of the points that he makes, and I'm willing to do this like in specifics. Like, if you take the points for what they are, they don't track anything aside from his already existing conviction. That's not smart. That, again, if you want, if he, convincing people, if that's what you want to talk about, sure. But to say, I think he's actually very smart, I would ask this statement to be defended, because I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know where that statement comes from. I don't see him as intelligent at all. Like, it's just like, to me, it just looks like a babbling moron. Like, I'll be honest. Like, it's just like, and the thing is, I think a lot of it's not even the subject matter, even though I'm sure it doesn't help that the subject matter is something I actually know a thing or two about. But it's more than that. My product is truth and understanding to the degree that I can deliver it. I'm by no means the best at it, but that's what I'm trying. That's my jump, right? So when somebody enters the domain of truth claims that they're putting on the table, I feel they entered my house. This is what I see myself as doing. He doesn't know how to do it. He doesn't know how to analyze information. The examples he gives, they have nothing to do with the situation. He compares complex world level situations to a situation between a police and somebody who entered your house. It's a completely different situation. There's no similarities to it whatsoever. It's a completely different rule game. So, like, and that's what makes me think that I don't even think he thinks it actually tracks. He doesn't have a better example, and he knows that's an emotional one. So he pleads to your emotions. That's a manipulative tactic. What'd you say?
Well, he does this thing sometimes where
Well,
like offload the responsibility by saying, "Oh, but I'm just a comedian," right? But it's like, wait, hold on, you're making a lot of claims here, like absolutes, right?
Yeah, not in a funny way, by the way. He's not, and also, and no, like, none of it. What he's saying is funny, right? But also, send me one bit. I'm saying this genuinely, like, truly. If you send me that and I go, like, I'll be objective to the extent that I can be. I mean, if it truly is funny, I'll be like, okay, that was actually kind of funny. I'll be honest. I've never seen him say one thing that is funny. Now, one. Send me one clip where he kills. I want to see that. I don't know why he calls himself a comedian.
Well, I think the point of humor, though, right, is that it's highly subjective, right?
No, I disagree. I think we can objectively say that Louis C.K. is one of the greatest comedians of all time.
Oh, well, he's a master. Yeah.
What scale are you using if it's all subjective?
Well, I mean, so you're right, but there's people like, I think everyone has an audience, right? And I don't know, I've listened to something like Kill Tony, for instance.
Mhm.
I can't stand that show. I don't think any of it is funny.
Okay.
But a lot of people love it. They laugh. But for me, it's just such a...
Oh, no. Okay, let me clarify. Wait, let me clarify.
I like the masters of stringing together jokes with storylines, and Louis C.K. and
I want to clarify.
Chappelle.
I want to clarify. So you're right. There is definitely also a matter of taste. It's not like it's all black and white. The way that I see it is that you have a lot of subjective expression around something that is in fact objective. I think I said this before. It's like I'm comparing it to kind of like a little lamp that is being pulled up a mountain with like one of these like what are they called, carousels that carry people to the top of the mountain, whatever it's called. I forget what it's called. But the lamp is in there, right? And then you have the lamp is the objective truth about whatever that is, and that thing evolves by going up the mountain. It's going up. It's objectively going higher. But let's say you have a bunch of little flies around that lamp. The flies have they have a certain distance from the central lamp, and they're going in random patterns. Some of them are really close to the lamp, some of them are a little further, but they're all around the lamp. And let's say, I don't know why that would be the case, but somehow we engineered a situation where the more flies do this thing around the lamp, somehow that's what's causing it to go up the mountain somehow, right? So that the lamp is the ultimate objective truth of that thing. The flies are the different people interacting with that objective truth, and their participation makes the lamp go higher objectively. But at any given point, each fly has a subjective distance and orientation around the lamp. So let's say artists, right? I would say real art, is a completely objective. Artists' expression of that art is subjective. And most of them would insist, no, there's no truth here. I think they're wrong. I think that you can easily and objectively say that the Mona Lisa is objectively better art than cave art. And I know a lot of people will be like, who are you to say? That's my claim. You can say this objectively.
Who duct taped the banana to a canvas and sold it for
I think that is somebody. Well, that's interesting, because if the art is not the banana, if art is the expression of what the culture is, then the banana represented a moment where the artist went so meta that he showed that the absurdity of the current situation is such that if I just stick this banana on a wall, I will make millions of dollars, because where we are currently is an absurd situation. If he aimed to expose that by just doing it instead of talking about it on a podcast, he's a great artist. So you see what I'm saying? But that has to be taken.
A lot of artists also won't elaborate on their intention.
No. I think most artists are not aware of this. But I think, and that's what makes them great artists, because they just they're in the moment, right? But I think that there's a level of the art at the time that is better than it was before. But there might have been one fly that was so good that it already found its way up the mountain before the lamp ever got there. That's also possible. They were way ahead of their time, right? But it doesn't mean there's no objective scale. So there's mastery, there's the ability, like when you work on like really complex things, in especially in visual art, like in paintings, and there's a whole study of this, right? The history of art and all that stuff that has to do with like techniques that were developed to create these particular shadows that nobody knew how to do before. That requires a lot of thought and innovation and attempts. And it doesn't just come like people who just like swing around and just put something on a canvas. It doesn't come like that. Yes, it's also art, but no, it's not as much great art as somebody who put in the work of knowing how to do these techniques and develop these things and evolve what it is, right? Evolution is everywhere. So in that regard, you can say, yeah, there's different flavors of comedy that kind of matches different people. But what I said with Dave Smith specifically, I'm saying send me one clip, not that will necessarily like from some kind of a mountain Olympus of objectivity of saying, okay, that's actually funny objectively. I want to see a clip where the people who came to see him can't breathe. That's what I want to see. I want to see that the thing he is attempting to do in that moment with the people who are genuinely interested to see him, I want to see them on the floor crying like they are in a Louis C.K. show. I want to see that. Like, or even anything remotely close to that. Send me that. I've never seen that. So what is this claim about being a comedian when it's just I'm not even being mean. Like the thing you are he is claiming to be, he's not, and he's been in it for a while. He's not like new. And by the way, it's true that comedians also all of a sudden bloom out of nowhere, right? That actually happened recently for me with what is his name, Brian Callen, right? For a long time, he was just like mediocre minus. But now he's been doing it for like, I don't know, 25 years or something. But he was never like really one of the greats. But now I'm watching his jokes and I'm like, dude, that's polished. That's the pacing is down. Like the whole, like he's funny. Like it, not necessarily, he doesn't kill me. Like it's not like oh my God, I'm like laughing out loud. But I see the work that when it, like he grew as an entertainer, as a comedian. It happened pretty late, but it happened. So, you know, I think I'm saying it to the effect of what you said, which is like he never mastered a vector. I don't actually I don't know if he understands what it takes to make something great. That's my take on it. But you know, obviously, I'm very biased in his direction. Obviously,
yeah, there's levels to it, and but you know, one thing I will say is like sometimes I have a lot of friends who are conspiracy theorists, and I see them draw connections to stuff. And you're right, they lack this ability to judge the information in front of them, but they're able to tie this web, which when I look at scientists, like the best scientists I know, they have both this ability to judge the information in front of them and tie and build a web, right? And so I call that smart, where I'm like, oh, okay, you know how to build a web, you know how to weave a web.
mm-hmm.
But the problem is you don't know how to judge information. So you can be entirely wrong or entirely right. And the process of getting there can look very similar, but you're not grounded. You're operating in something else. So I call the process of weaving a web smart or intelligence, but you can still be intelligent and wrong. And that's the beauty of, well, that's the difficulty of science, right? Is that there's only a few people that are right about certain things in the world.
Yeah, I guess I would agree with that. I can see how that definition would also track. I'm very comfortable with that. So it also, yeah, it tracks. You're right. That also tracks.
There's an infinite number of ways to get it wrong and only one way to get it right.
That is okay. That point I think is exactly nailing it on the head. Thank you, Colin. I think that's exactly right. Yeah, I think that the attempt, this is why, for example, harder sciences are so much more revered, is because the progress there clearly has to be either right or wrong very often. Like you don't get to do a lot of, you know, mistakes in things that in engineering. It's very obvious, right? You can only get things wrong so many times as an engineer before you're unhireable. Because if your track record is like, hey man, well, it would work in theory. Well, okay, man, hey, you should not be an engineer then. Because it's like it has to be what it is. And I think that checking with reality has to be there. And exactly how Colin said, there's so many ways in which shooting a rocket to space can go wrong, and only such a tiny number of ways in which it will work, that there's no bluffing here. That's the thing that I think. This is why it's harder to see, I guess, with things that has to do with communication. Because with communication, you can manipulate people emotionally, you can do all these things, and I don't know. I wish it would be kind of nice if there would be some kind of an objective framework to this. And maybe even in some far future, there is some kind of a thing like that. That's, I guess, what Isaac Asimov's idea of, you know, what was it called? The science in the books, where they could predict like things into like tens of thousands years in the future, just by, you know, calculating things in a particular way. But so maybe something like that is possible. But I think that the beauty and the spark of life is still kind of like in the moment. But I think it's just it's a virtue signally, you know, thing that people do. Like I don't think anybody truly believes it. Even that, you know, things like you can distinguish good art from bad art. If you think that all art is the same, No, you don't. You just don't. You wouldn't go to a museum to look at that particular art if you wouldn't think it's better than something you can just squiggle on a paper. You don't believe that. You might be saying that, but it's like, why do you go to a museum then? What is it? Like, there's something there that is different. We went to the what's his name? Dali's museum in Tampa, in St. Pete. Man, this man was like dialed in. I mean, he was crazy, and also that it's so interesting. Like that's like a true artist, you know. Like you can see that there's like this. And by the way, he went against the grain, right? He rebelled against the all consensus, and like he's like, no, I'm gonna do it my way. And he was right. He was the majority of one because he was right. Because the way that the lamp was wrong, he was ahead of the lamp. Because the lamp was here and people were at a certain distance. So in any given time, you have like artists that are really close to what this ultimate truth is, and they deliver things that are just mind blowing. But sometimes once in a while, you have these like outliers that are just like they see so far into the future, and this style is just so wild. And you see also what was interesting about the museum, because this museum was just about him. It also shows the different periods of his work. And I'm not even, I'll be honest, I'm not even that much into art, to be quite honest. My wife is, she's an artist. But I like to know things. So it's like, that was fascinating to me, to just watch the progression of how he started as a young artist, and then how he evolved, and the decisions he made later. And you can see it expressed itself. And it's so interesting. And then some of the pieces that are just, they're so trippy. And at least according to him, he never partook. Like he never used any substances or anything, which I think there's no reason to doubt that claim. Natural madness. But notice it's a madness that was channeled towards something. People very often, they're just mad and that's it. But like you don't just create works of art like that. It requires but also structured genius. You have to put so much work into being able to deliver such a vision, and being so accurate with it. It's none of it is happenstance. Like all of you can see that everything is thought through this super interesting lens that he had. So you basically get a glimpse into his mind, but you wouldn't get a good glimpse into his mind if he wouldn't be good at it. Like to be able to put that on a canvas. I sometimes have like wild ideas that I would love to just put on a canvas. It's gonna look like I'll show you one. You I think you're gonna be laughing for 10 minutes. It's really funny because I one time my wife told me like, no, anybody can be an artist. I'm like, I just gave her a look. I was like, trust me, not true. And she's like, no, I'm telling you. And then I was like, all right. So she's like, do this, and then he painted the first thing. She's like, just do whatever the thing. I just did whatever I wanted. She looked at it and she goes, yeah, okay, maybe not everybody. I'm like, and I didn't do it to make a point. Hey, man, you can't be good at everything. And the funny thing is, when I was a kid, I was like, I was drawing and stuff, and I was decent at it. I actually made a portrait of my sister that was actually pretty good when I was a kid. I really liked it. So it is a matter of practice. But if you do lose touch with it, both in like how much you care and so what? It's like even there, right? Well, what is are you saying that this piece of shit that I created is as good as what Dali made? Because if all subjective, then it's just as good. Go slap it in a museum. Why don't you? Why is nobody gonna come see it? Come on, man. Like, let's get real.
I went to a contemporary art museum in LA, and there was this massive canvas and just a little blue square painted in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were around that painting, and I was mind blown.
But
I don't know. I mean, I hear you. There's like an objective component for sure.
Well, okay, so like again, it really depends what the intention was. If there's some genius in the expression of that, right? Because so I'll give you an example. I saw
the beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Is the intention is interpretable by the person viewing it. So I think there was this guy who accidentally left his coffee cup on a pedestal at one of the museums because he was like working on it or something, and people thought it was like an art exhibit and were surrounding it, and the people were thinking the coffee cup was this like piece of art, but it was just there was no intention. It was just an accident. The guy left it there. And then so, but to the person viewing it, he's probably wearing a monocle or something. He's like, oh yes, the capitalistic motivations of or whatever. You can come up with some random thing, and that's the beauty of the mind. Is the mind could make meaning out of anything.
Right? Not out of anything, but some of that meaning would be mapping onto something that actually matters to others. There's something in the joint reality. And hold on, I realize I'm basically ignoring everybody. Let me just make a couple of comments and we'll continue. So John is saying Kill Tony sucks, and then banana cannabis equal money laundering. By the way, that's actually true. I've learned this last year, that this is basically the biggest money laundering scheme in the world, which is like high-end art. Is a way that very wealthy people use to basically store their wealth in a way that they don't have to pay taxes for. There's like a whole loophole there, so that can actually be one of them.
Money.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's just like NFTs, exactly. But hold on, and give up fixed reality. Okay, so there's a lot of comments. I apologize, guys. Today we're just riffing. Fade Black podcast, and you've talked about clicking in your ear, and it was big change for you. Recently had a wild, realistic experience when I was sleeping, felt more real. That day, I also had the synchronicity events in past couple of months. I've become more spiritual and more. Yeah, this would happen more and more. Thank you for sharing. Colin here can attest to this. He had his own awakening, and that kind of changed everything. And I think that's what is trying to come through us. Like that's the thing that kind of makes us more real about ourselves, about what's possible, about the world. But this does not, it doesn't eliminate our need to also be realistic. Also, Daniel, I saw look at the picture that Daniel shared on Discord. It's hilarious. I wish I could share it on YouTube. It's a picture of a cave art, and behind it, there's the Mona Lisa on the cave. It's really funny. The clicking sound is that I basically felt like they were changing something about my brain. We'll talk about this in some other live. So the thing about the blue square, right? There might be dips in quality of art in every moment in history. And I think ultimately to me, what art is about as a whole, it's the delivery of meaning. This is why even the most obscure and kind of like crazy thing that just looks like somebody just kind of, did something that didn't mean anything. I think somebody was talking about maybe a Polak or something. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. What's the name of that artist? Anyways, the guy that does like all these like just kind of like crazy squirrels, right? And I think you're the one that actually shared that with me, where they discovered that that when they analyzed the ratios in the picture, it wasn't just random. It actually followed the same kind of logic and math that strange attractors follow from chaos theory. So it's almost like the weather would be a good way to predict how his art would be. And was he really aware of doing this? I don't know. But what's possible is that he is not. But there's part of his brain that does this, which is what makes people really interested in his art versus just some other squiggle. So I'm open to that, by the way. But if the artist is true, for that to happen, if it's true, I don't know if it is actually true, but if let's say it is. So that artist that just comes in and does this like chaos nonsense, but a lot of people like his or her stuff and not somebody else's stuff. I'm open to the possibility that something is happening there that is objective, even if they're not aware of it. Objective in the sense of pulling true meaning from that hyperspace. But in order for that to happen, they actually have to be dialed into something real. There's something that they did that opened themselves to these channels that actually delivers that. It comes through them, even if it looks nonsensical on the surface. Is the blue square does the blue square belongs to this family of kinds of art? I don't know. I wasn't there. if it didn't move you and you think it's just people like idiot. And again, maybe the artist was emphasizing the fact, look, I can just do a blue square and look how you idiots are going to come here. Maybe that was the part of the art. I don't know. But it really is what makes a great artist is if there's a portion of them that felt something and they managed to put that into the world to make others feel that. And in the case of, let's say, an artist emphasizes how ridiculous the situation is, maybe the people that coming to see the art, I'm just riffing here, like I don't know if that's anybody's intention, but I can totally imagine situations like this where the people who come to see their art, the ones that are the gullible ones that pretend to like this thing that has nothing in it, they might be part of the exhibition. Like the artist, the thing that they put there wasn't the art. The art was the fact that people that they consider absurd to come and look at this and pay money to see this, they're part of their exhibition. So when people look at it from the outside and saying, look at these people, those are the people he was talking to. He captured the larger audience, the news story that told this story, and people were like so upset about it. Maybe they're upset about it, but they're not the person that likes to express anger. So I'm just giving you like an example of how I can see like a brilliance there still. Maybe that doesn't mean that that's what it was, right? But like I can totally see these like very long arcs that the artist might not even be aware. Like the artist wants to feel anger about the situation because they are really good, but they see that no matter how good they are, somebody's going to put a blue square and people are going to pay a bunch of money to see. So they're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be that guy, but my anger is going to be felt by the people who's going to see this ridiculous situation and comment on it with anger. They're going to feel the anger for me. That's
like
a
the
genius.
definition of art being a vector to communicate meaning, but there's a part of me that thinks that there's meaning in anything and everything, which means
I disagree with that.
Art,
yeah, I disagree with that. I think meaning is a very specific thing. I think meaning is it is the arrangement of perception in such a way where you perceive the truth of the situation to different degrees.
But it's also not just derivative, but it can be communicated.
Say more about that. What do you mean?
The like art is the OG meme, right? It's communicating an idea in the most simplistic way.
But just I would say that art for me communicates more emotion than an idea, and the idea I might be writing on top of it.
Something.
Yeah, it communicates, but usually it's based more on emotions. Like artists are truly usually very emotional, right?
The meaning is what is imbued into it, and that's not just derivative. It's not like I can derive any meaning from anything, but what is the meaning that was intended to be communicated?
Exactly. Yeah. So if the signature passed along through the art form, then I would say that's a good artist. If they just kind of like kept it open, and that was part of the art, but maybe part of the art wasn't for it to be anything. It was actually to hit the exact bullseye of that emotion. I saw this. That's what I forgot to say. I saw this thing on Instagram. It's very touching. It seems true. I don't know if it's just like some video that somebody made that just isn't true, but it looks true. So everybody can go and fact check. I don't know, but if it is true, it's amazing, right? So there's this artist, and she was with this guy, and they were like madly in love. It was like one of these, like, she's the one, he's the one. Clearly, they're like, I don't know, like made for each other. Blah blah. They at a certain point, if I remember correctly, they decided that it's just not the same kind of passion or whatever it was, and they decided they're gonna meet at the Great Wall of China. I hope I'm not butchering the details. I think it's correct. And then they're gonna walk away from each other to never see each other again. They're just gonna like look at each other and then walk away and then never see each other again. 20 or 30 or some ridiculous amount of time, years after, she was doing an exhibition in which she was just sitting on a chair. That was the exhibition. And she just sat there and she just allowed anybody to come and sit on the chair just in front of her and just look her in the eyes and then walk away. And I don't remember if it, because I know there was another artist that was doing some exhibition in which people could just do anything to her. Like that was the art. Like go, like there's tools, there's just do whatever. And she wanted to see how far people take it. you know. And I don't remember if it's the same artist or not, but I don't think so. So I'm always confusing them. But for all intents and purposes, she was sitting on the chair, and he found out that she's doing this. So he came after whatever time it was. They haven't seen each other in like 30 or 40, I don't know, some ridiculous amount of time. And he came and sat on that chair right in front of her and just looked at her quietly. And they looked at each other for however long. And he just got up and left again. That's art, bro. Like whatever, say what you will. That's crazy. Because somebody like allowed themselves. Imagine the level of emotion that they were willing to feel for the shtick of it. Like it's the pain, the love, the pain, and everything they felt in that moment. I can't even imagine to never see each other again. Dude, it's just like, but it wasn't a painting. It wasn't anything.
Yeah.
But that's powerful. The fact that happened, the fact that happened was the art. That's how
That definitely is. It feels like art for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so that we're coming up at the. Oh yeah, it's already an hour and a half. Sorry guys, I have to jump off pretty abruptly. Apologies. Thank you so much for all the new viewers that I noticed came. I appreciate it. I'm happy you guys are here. If you guys want to follow me across platforms, it's Danny Goller on Instagram and TikTok. It's Goller Danny on X. It's LaserX83 on Twitch, and Dango Thoughts on YouTube. DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. Come join the membership program on YouTube, because if you do, you get early access to all my content, which right now you have the episode with Andres Gomez. It is already live for paying members. It's going to be ready. It's going to be readily available by Saturday for everybody. But so you will always get early access to all my content. You will get access to my weekly lives for members only, in which we talk much deeper into all kinds of topics. It's a lot of fun. Don't go anywhere, Colin, because I want to promote your channel as well. And you can also follow my new show, 0 to 1 with Danny Goller, on Spotify. 0 to 1 from Earth with Danny Goller, from Earthbound Minds to Cosmic Citizens. In that show, we're talking about the future of humanity and what it means to be human and what it means to create a better future. So look for that on Spotify. And if you want to grab any merch from the channel, they'll be very helpful. We have great design, shirts, mugs, all kinds of things. The core designs, Code of Reality, and also Human First, which is the campaign to denote the sentiment that we should treat each other as humans first before any political affiliation or any convictions about the world. I think it's way more important than anything else for the longevity of the human species. What else am I forgetting? So I always forget it is the Embodied Men, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So the Embodied Men is a channel on YouTube that you guys should follow, by the incredible Colin Carroll. I really enjoy his vibe. I really enjoy his energy, and he's here with us on TikTok right now. But I went on the show. You can find my episode with him. It was a lovely conversation. So you guys should go and check it out on YouTube. What else? If you guys want to still donate to the post-production of the film, we're now at the end. Aaron Venden, the director. Shout out to Aaron. He's just incredible creator. Talking about visual artists. And also our producer, Chris Paris, who also happens to be one of the editors on the film. They're amazing. And if you guys want to donate to the film, find the link to the trailer called The Discovery. You can find it right here on YouTube on Dango Thoughts right now, under this live that we're on right now. Second link, that's the trailer, or just search for The Discovery on the Dango Thoughts channel on YouTube. And you can find the GoFundMe page in the description of that trailer. You can donate. Any donation received with gratitude. If you donate over $1,000, you will be automatically added to the people that will for sure 100% see the movie for the first time ever in history, all together as a premiere with Q&A and everything. I think it's pretty amazing. Thank you so much for the gifts, Nico. I appreciate you. And if not, don't worry. Of course, obviously, we're going to make sure that everybody sees the film. What else? If you guys... What am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting something for sure. Oh, please come join our Discord. Like-minded people sharing these ideas. You can find the link to it on... wait, did I share... I think MGK. Yeah, you guys saw the link, right? That I put right here for Discord. I'm going to put it on YouTube right now again. Come join Discord. There you go. That's the updated link. If you guys not on Discord, not on YouTube, go to YouTube right now, and I just dropped the link for Discord, so you can go and check it out. Dango Thoughts is the channel. And go check out our website, codeofreality.com, codeofreality.com, where we have the lasers, protocols, and everything else. And if you want to share your experiments, you can go to veilbreak.ai, veilbreak.ai. I'm going to share it right here, where you can share your experiments even anonymously, and you can see other people's experiments with as much detail as possible. There you go. By the way, Colin, if you haven't done it, any extra one always helps. So if you want to go also to veilbreak.ai and just fill in the information about the way you did the experiment, because I know you did it, it really helps because it collects all the data, and it helps everybody to kind of know what was done, what wasn't done, what happened there, all these details. So that's an incredible tool. What else? I think that's it. There's always so many announcements. I gotta make a list at this point. Oh, and if you join for the membership program, if you join from the second tier upwards, make sure you email me to the email listed there, so I can send you the link to our monthly Zoom calls, so we don't forget you. Okay, I think that was it. Thank you so much for our guests, Nico and Colin Carroll. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much for our incredible moderator, Guru. You're the man, brother. Always here, always supporting and making this so much better. Daniel, thank you so much for always joining. And thank you so much for you, the audience. Without you, this would be, and I would just be talking to myself. So I really appreciate you guys for coming, for sharing, for exchanging ideas. Oh, I see somebody's trying to come in. Actually, Nick Sal, I'll give you 2 words before we adjourn. But just want to say, truly, like, I want to appreciate the audience. If you're new, if you're an older listener, thank you so much, because I appreciate you coming, sharing, sometimes debating. We don't have to agree on everything. I really enjoy that. Let's see. I'll give you 2 words before we adjourn, and you can always come tomorrow to speak more, brother. So, Nick Sal, bring you up now. How you doing, man?
I was laying in bed.
How you
So I don't know if you remember me, but I'm like 3 years ago when you started this,
Mm-hmm.
me and you were emailing apart. I'm an American. And at the time I was a police officer, and I was growing my own mushrooms, and I was seeing fractal shit in the sky every fucking time. I would look at the sky, no matter how many times I ate mushrooms, I would see these patterns. And I was talking to you about it, and the whole laser thing. And you changed my life. Like, the brain chemistry changed to the point where I lost 300 pounds, sun, grounding. I noticed things so much different. I see so much crisper. Changed my life. And I lost my email and could never talk to you again. When you were doing the Zoom calls, I don't know if you remember me. I was way heavier then, but I just came across your live, and I just wanted to tell you that I'm going to be following you. I'd love to talk.
Oh, I appreciate you, brother. Yeah, I mean, first of all, just so you know that we on TikTok at this point there's a little bit less emphasis. So if you join our Discord, people tell me that the link in the link tree doesn't work for some reason. So if we go to YouTube now, I can drop it here, I guess, but it's for some reason.
I'm friends with you on Facebook. I mean, on TikTok itself. I just sent you a message.
I never look. I will look. I will look because you said that. But usually, I never look on messages on TikTok, on Instagram. There's just too many of them. But if you, so first of all, the email is laserx laser. Wait, is it lasersimulationx@gmail.com? But what I'm saying is the Discord is the best way, because that one I see on a daily basis, and where you heard Nico speaking from right now. If you're on our Discord, when I'm doing these lives, you can jump on the stage and we can actually talk just like this. I mean, yeah, you can do it also on TikTok, but it's actually, the sound is better and everything else is better on Discord. And also we're, there's a community there, and I'm there and I'm always seeing it, and you can text me directly. So it's a lot easier. If you can, let me just drop it anyway. Just, it's not going to be a hyperlink here on TikTok, but if you go to YouTube, you'll see it as a hyperlink. Let me actually share that now so I don't forget, because I know I will. Invites, right? Server settings, invites. There you go. So create invite, copy, boom. I'm going to put another one right here on YouTube, and I'm going to drop it right here as well.
Dude, I try to change so many people's lives, and I tell people your story because it's amazing, and I spread it as much as I can. on here, on this app, everywhere.
Man, I appreciate the kind words. I mean, obviously, this makes me feel incredible. So I appreciate you sharing. Thank you so much. I told you about mushrooms, or you? Because it sounds like mushrooms are the one that changed your life.
Because that was one of the things that changed my life. The whole DMT, that whole psychedelic thing just changed the way I think, my personality, everything.
You look-
my wife, my kids.
You look great, man.
I
So-
speak about it, and I was a police officer at the time, and the mental health aspect, push it, and I just felt like I want to come on here and let you know that I'm watching.
Man, that makes me so happy. I appreciate it. Well, yeah. So, guys, I appreciate you. Oh, I think there's another police officer. I can't. I have to drop off in a moment, but I'll let one more person on, just to say internal error. Okay, so it wasn't meant to be, but we definitely are here. Thank you, Debbie. Man, this really it made my day. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Is Nick is your name?
Yeah, my name is Nick Sal. I'm Mr. Fit Nick on here, but my name is Nick Sal Nitro.
I'm gonna make sure here. I'll make sure that. Oh, we are. Wait, why is it? There you go.
Friends already.
Yeah, I thought we were. Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Follow.
never signed
And
up
I will-
for
and I will-
lives.
Yeah, and I will look at your text just because you said that. But if you just join, I dropped the link here as well. Join Discord with this link, and if you can't find it, go to YouTube at the end of this live. Make sure you include the chat, the live chat, because you can see it even when it's not live. At the end, you'll see the Discord link. That's the correct link. Just get that one, or just search for Core or COR or Code of Reality on Discord. You should be able to find it.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Nick, thank you so much, but I appreciate you. And Colin, thank you so much for your energy and everything else. Well, that was a lovely surprise. I'm glad I let you on. It made me feel great. Thank you so much, man. All right, guys. So peace and love, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao, everyone. Have a good night, guys.